Hello and welcome to Systemize Your Success. I'm Dr. Steve Day, and today I'm joined by Aytekin Tank. He is the founder of Jotform and also the author of the best-selling book, Automate Your Busy Work. He comes up with a wealth of experience in entrepreneurship, and especially in bootstrapping and scaling small businesses globally. He is also deeply involved and invested in the future of AI and how it can revolutionize the way we work. And having just had a quick chat with Aytekin before he came on, I think this episode is going to be incredibly interesting and insightful. So the question is this: how do entrepreneurs like us who don't have an endless supply of cash, how do we leverage the best apps, virtual assistants, automation tools and systems to scale our businesses, increase our profits and have more time to do what we love to do each day? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. My name's Dr. Steve Day and this is Systemize Your Success. I'm really excited to have you on the show today.
Thank you for having me on the show. I'm really excited as well.
So the reason, actually, we were just discussing this, the reason you're on this show is you were interviewed by a good friend of mine, Jim James, on his podcast, The Unnoticed Entrepreneur. And he was telling me how he enjoyed the conversation and that knowing how much I love automation and now AI, he thought it would be great to have a chat with you and for you to share some of the insights on this podcast as well. So why don't we just kick off with, first of all, just a little bit about your book, Automate Your Busy Work. And then I really want to get into as well what you're working on with regards to the future of AI, both in your company and just generally in your business.
Yeah, sure. The story of my book is actually pretty long. So should I start from the beginning?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, okay. So I founded this company, Jotform, 18 years ago. It's been a long time. And in the early years, like we were a small company, and I was this business owner who was doing everything, right? I was doing accounting, legal, HR, ordering supplies for the office, customer support, emails, like. And the reason I started a product company was because I was really passionate about building a great product. I wanted a lot of people to use my product, and at this point, I was like just stuck in like all these business. And right at this moment, something else happened. Google actually came out with a competing product. So here I am stuck in the mud, all this, busy work. And I'm now having to compete with Google. Google released Google Forms. So this was like a turning point for me. I decided, okay, I cannot just continue this. I need to find a way to be able to work on my product, like just really spend my time on things that matter. That's why I actually turned towards automation and delegation. So I started automating everything, pretty much everything. For example, I was like spending all day long, in my emails. I kind of developed a solution for myself to be able to process my emails much more quickly. Just found a way to like process my emails by priority as opposed to date order, and that just saved me like hours every day. And then I also started I was like doing customer support from like morning to night. And I just went to Upwork. At that time, it was like Odesk. I went to Upwork and I hired these like five virtual support people from around the world, and just gave the support work to them, and that also saved me so much time. So I started doing all these automation and delegation, and that saved me so much time. And once I kind of learned how to automate things, I turned towards like our team. Like we were small at that time, but how can we automate the stuff we do? Like, for example, when we were developing our product, we were actually like, launching our new versions of our product manually to the servers, things like that. So we moved towards continuous integration and deployment. So like just like we started releasing our product like 10 times every day, right? Just like when you commit a new code, it just went to our live service. Just we had to write like so many tests so that we don't break anything, but we were able to kind of automate that as well. So I kind of started by myself, and then I started teaching to our team. But then the next step was, how can I like apply all this stuff that I learned for our customers, to our customers? Because basically Jotform is a forms product, and people use forms because they want to automate their processes, their business processes. They want to automate their workflows. And like at Jotform, we have a saying, every every journey starts with a form. So basically, what we discovered at the beginning, I thought that I was just building this forms product. I was just helping people, create forms with this no-code drag and drop builder. But what I discovered was people were actually like doing a lot of stuff, and we were just like helping them with the first step. And then like we started kind of seeing this as a puzzle. Like we just gave them the first piece of the puzzle. How can we give them the next piece of this puzzle and next piece of the puzzle so that we can automate more of their tasks? So we started building all these additional products. Like we started integrating with like over hundreds other products, and with the help of like Zapier and Make, we integrate with thousands of products now. And so we started like providing all these automation features like emails. We started, providing like additional products like document generation product like PDF editor we call, like from the data you receive, you can turn that into a PDF that's more durable or shareable, or you can just, get it sent to you by email. We built this e-signature product, Jotform Sign, so that you can actually integrate easily with your forms. We built this app builder so that you can actually put your forms into this mobile app and share it with your clients. So we we discovered all these pieces. So this was another step in my automation journey. It started with me, and I continued with our team, and then it's it ended up helping our customers as well, which in turn actually helped me grow Jotform even further. So I wanted to share all the things that I learned about automation with a book. So I started writing a book. It took me a long time, but I released that book last year, finally, and it actually became a Wall Street Journal bestseller. It's called Automate Your Busy Work, and it's available on bookstores. Yeah, so that's the story. That's a long story, I know.
Yeah, but it's a cool story. And like from a me like listening to you and having used Jotform for many years, and I've used many of the things you've talked about, integrations with other apps, and I've used it for e-signing and used it to replace our CRM's forms because they were ugly and ineffective, whereas they were nice on Jotform and easy to build. So like as a consumer of this, it's super interesting to actually hear the backstory behind it and how it all started. And just hearing you say like, oh yeah, competing with Google in the early days. I mean, that must have been like quite a scary moment in the business life cycle. Like how can you possibly compete? But actually, having used it and know the limitations of Google, it's not their main product. It's not all they care about. It's just a sideline. Whereas obviously, Jotform for you is something that you've put a lot of passion into and build it up to what it is today. And so, yeah, it's just really interesting, I think, to hear the backstory behind something that yeah, you don't often get to meet the founders of these products that we use. And so it's really cool to hear that. And obviously the fact you actually written a book about your journey to get there, that's also awesome. So I'm actually I didn't know you'd written a book, so I'm actually gonna go and find this after this interview and actually read it because it sounds so similar in many ways to I've taken a slightly different path, but actually a lot of the processes you went through, like optimizing time, optimizing delegation, optimizing automation. I mean, that's just my story as well. I'm sure for many listeners of this, they're somewhere on that path. So hearing you sort of leading them down, beyond where they currently are, I think is inspirational. So it's cool. Um, and then where I want to go next is okay, that's cool. We know where you got to with regards to Jotform today with automation. You've written a book about it, so you know a thing or two. But, and this is what the interesting thing we're talking about just before we came on mic was okay, what's next? And this I think is really cool. So, what is it that you're working on at the moment with regards to the next evolution of Jotform, and how is it going to help people like me and other business owners?
Yeah, I mean, when ChatGPT came out, like a couple of years ago, like we were all, excited about it. And I mean, we have been using GPT as well before the ChatGPT, but I didn't see any way to kind of like use that within our product, any really good way to help people automate their work. So it took me a while, but about a year ago, we actually like we already had people who have been doing like AI for a while because like we have all these like phishers, frauds, spammers. So we have been doing like machine learning and AI for a while, but we never use that within the product, like just to the for the end user product. So about a year ago, like I just took these like three engineers and then I just like started working with them personally. So this is another way that automation and delegation helps me because I found that if I'm just like doing everything at the company, I'm actually not doing my responsibility as a founder. As a founder of the company, I see that my role is to kind of design the future of the Jotform, future of our product, future of our culture, company, team, right? And if I'm just doing everything, I'm not really doing that. So what I do is like I just delegated like so much stuff, especially like when I had my third child, like just when I went away, when I came back, I told my COO and my executives, I'm not coming back. That just assume that I'm still like, taking care of the baby. I'm just gonna focus on like really important stuff. And like one of them was like just the working on like this new AI stuff. So a year ago I started working with a few engineers, and then gradually like we actually increased the teams. So now like 120 people are actually working on this product, and we are going to release this new product in February 2025, in a few months. And this product is called Jotform AI Agents, and basically it's about replacing our own business with AI, right? We are kind of disrupting our own business, right? Replacing forms with AI. So how do we do that? So let's say like let's say you are a school administrator, right? And then you have all these people, like you have the teachers, you have the students, parents, like employees, like right? You are dealing with a lot of people, and like how do you deal with them? You use forms. Like education is like one of our top industries for job form, and so you send them forms, right? But the problem with forms are they are not very smart. They are just like list of questions and you answer them, right? But what if you could just give them these AI agents or AI representatives of yourself, right? Uh, and you give it to them, and then they can basically kind of ask their questions about something. Let's say you are doing a summer camp, right? You're going to send it to the parents. They can ask questions like when is the summer camp, like which classes can attend the summer camp, things like that. Like they can ask all these questions because you are actually like loading all this info. You can actually load your knowledge base within this product, and then you can start having once you decide that, okay, hey, I'm gonna join the summer camp, you can just answer the questions in a conversation, which can happen on a chatbot by typing it, or you can just talk to it, right? On the phone or on an app. And once you talk to it, like just you're done. And you can always come back and ask more questions. So basically what we are doing is like we are basically like helping educators or even small businesses are also big at Jotform because they have like so many customers, clients, they have to constantly talk to these clients, right? What if the AI assistant, AI representative could actually talk on behalf of you to take care of stuff for you? It can always kind of pass the information to you. It always passes the conversations to you anyways, but it can always like forward the conversation to you, but basically it can take care of many things for you. So that's the idea. And it's been really exciting. Like we have some, better customers. We are seeing some really exciting stuff. And yeah, I think it's going to be a really cool product. And we are working hard at it. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that idea of taking the form out of forms. And as you were saying it, I was just thinking, oh, God, that's it. It's genius. And there's so many applications for it that I can think of. Just like, for example, our recruitment at the moment. And I was thinking, like, we have to like the first step of our recruitment process to get people to fill out an application form, and that I'm sure, like, I know how many people hit that form. I know how many people complete it. And if we could increase our, and it's probably about 20%, by the way, of people actually complete the form, it's quite long. I mean, it's there for a reason as a gatekeeper. But actually, if we can actually get more people to go through that process because it's less painful, it's enjoyable, it's interactive, and they're thinking that somebody's there actually, whether they think it truly or they think it, there's that perception of I'm in a conversation. I can't just be rude and leave. And so you can actually, I can imagine it will drag people through the process to actually get that information that we need as the business to be able to do whatever it is we're doing. In this case, I'm talking about recruitment, but it could be for anything. And I can see that, like, therefore we could increase the number of people that apply, and therefore we have a bigger pool to go from. I mean, that's just, top of the head, and similar things for onboarding of clients. Like, no one likes filling out forms. So as beautiful as they can be, sorry to say this to the founder of Jotform, but it's not like, it's not like you don't wake up in the morning and go, you know what I want to do today?
No,
I want to
actually,
fill out a
I
form.
started Jotform
But you
because
make, yeah.
I kind of hated forms. In my previous job, I was a developer for a media company, and like one of my duties was to create forms, and I wanted to find a product. I couldn't find one, so I started Jotform so that people don't have to create forms. It's kind of boring, but I understand like the filling out the forms are also kind of boring, and it's a real pain that people actually leave forms like in the middle, like just like even happens to me, like just I'm filling out a form, like someone calls me, I forget about it, like just I leave, right? With a conversation, it's actually kind of, even if you leave it in the middle, you can always come back to it and continue your conversation. You don't have to lose it, or like the owner of the agent master, the owner of the agent can actually see that conversation history and then like just connect to you and ask about it. And you were talking about the recruitment example. And one of the great things about this is like you can actually support multiple forms, right? Maybe you want to do like this pre-interview like question, like a few questions maybe you want to ask them. Maybe you depending on their question, maybe you want to ask different questions, right? So it can actually be really smart. You can actually do those kind of stuff with chat forms as well. Like we have these like conditional logic. You can show and hide questions, sections, or pages. But with a conversation, I think it's much more fluent to do this. And so like you can actually get out of things done within that conversation, right? We are actually supporting like we have hundreds of form fields, and we are supporting all those form fields within the form. So people can actually upload a file while having a conversation. If they need to upload their resume, CV, they can just do it within the conversation, and like they can ask their questions. So it's just like talking to a real person, and uh, that's why we are so excited about this. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be cool. I think AI in general is one of those areas which every week or every month, whenever there's something new coming out, and I always keep my eye on AppSumo, checking out the latest things that people are coming up with, and there's always like new AI stuff coming on there all the time, and just doing random stuff. I just like never thought that would be possible to do, and this is one of those examples. It's once you said it, it's like of course that's like something you could do, but actually 2 years ago, like it just wasn't a thing, and so it's exciting times. But okay, so One thing you mentioned before, which I wanted to pick up on because it's something that is off topic of the current topic, but it's one of your roles as a founder, which was you mentioned about culture and about actually one of your main roles or responsibilities being the founder is actually to ensure you have you project, I don't know the word is, but you project your culture through your business. And you mentioned you've got how many employees do you have now?
We have 700
700.
employees.
Okay. So coming from someone who does not have 700 employees, far, far fewer by the way, how do you go about that? How do you, like, for example, now, if I want to talk about culture with my company, I get in my company meeting on a Tuesday morning and I talk about it with my entire team in one meeting. And I can therefore, keep that culture going by being present. But like you just mentioned, you've chosen to try to step out. You had 3 children, and you want to obviously spend time with them, and you want to have this role of not being involved day to day, and having 700 employees, you can't possibly meet them all in a little Zoom meeting. So how do you do that? How do you continue this development or this continuation of your culture when you're growing a business?
So actually, we have this all hands meeting every Friday. So we call it the demo day. Usually, like people show what they have accomplished during that week. And so I actually give like a 5-10 minutes small speech, but I don't consider that as the like the primary way to set the culture. I think you set the culture by not talking about it, but with your actions, with your decisions. So one of the like early decisions we made was like we decided like we are this company of small teams, and that decision still continues today, and it even shows up in how we design our office space. So, for example, in our offices, we have these small rooms, usually glass, so we don't want to make them claustrophobic. The small class, and these rooms can only hold like 6 people. So we want to make sure that we have these small teams, and we want to make sure that like um, people work in teams. So instead of like giving like individuals like projects, like we decide like what's the most important thing that we should be working on, and instead of giving this as a project to one person or like 2 people, we basically say, okay, we are building a team, and you are responsible for this, and you are kind of like independent. Like we will still review you. Like there's still some management. You will still meet with a manager every week for a review, but you kind of like you have your flexibility, you have your kind of independence to make your own decisions, move forward. So the idea is that we built these small cross-functional teams that have they have their own office space, they have their own whiteboard, and this actually came from the early days of Jotform when we were like this small team. Like we would go to lunch together. Like we were in this small office space. We would go to lunch together. We would like discuss stuff together. We would just work on a single project to move things forward. And then once we started kind of getting larger, I discovered that like things weren't working out. Like, and I assumed that hey, big companies work this way. Like we were around like 15 people at that time, and everybody was working on different things, and it wasn't good. Like we weren't producing like really good stuff. Like we were making good decisions, and because everyone kind of were going their own way, making their own decisions, there was no discussion, there was no really big care about like what we are doing. And then I looked back at like the early days, and I decided, okay, when we were this small team, it worked. So why don't we divide these 15 people into 3 teams? And right at this moment, we were actually moving to new office space. So like I just I hired this architect. Like I told him like I want to create this environment we had when we started. And so that decision actually set our culture. So we have these like small teams working on their own thing. And basically we divide up Jotform into like even the product, like different parts of the product. are kind of handled by different teams. They have ownership, and then they do their own launches. And when they do a product launch, right, we have our office team actually goes and like just puts the balloons and gives them this box of celebration items, so that there is a celebration, and then we can join to them as well. So it's I think we set the culture by kind of making all those small decisions and asking ourselves, like, when things are not working out, like, okay, things are not working out, how can we fix them? How can we solve the root cause of the problem? As opposed to like, me going to this, all hands meeting and telling them not to do something. That I don't think that would work well. And that's not a good way to, like, that's very responsive. Like, that's not very proactive. But then just like building the systems, basically building the organization to work in a way is a better approach to kind of solve those problems. So I think that's the solution for having a good culture.
I love it. I love the root cause analysis sort of approach as well. I spent a couple of years heading a root cause analysis department in the hospital where I worked, looking at, okay, yeah, we can be reactive to the outcome of an issue, or we can actually go back and say, how do we prevent this issue from ever happening again, right from the source? Like, is it a hiring problem, or is it a system problem, or is it, and you can always go back. And that's one of the things that I try to do in my tiny organization, even now, and something I talk about in the podcast is about actually stop blaming people. Like, if anyone's to blame, it's always you as the leader. But actually, that's not very useful either. So how do we then take that blame and then put it into something useful by actually saying, okay, how do we change the way things are done from the get-go? So yeah, I love that, and I love that, just hearing how that you're like the cultural side of stuff as well, just that you saw that the issue, because I've been up to 14 employees. Similar, you said there's those tensions, and you see they're trying to sort of juggle and manage everybody, and for me that got quite challenging as well. And I like that idea that you did, just said, okay, what worked before this problem came? Let's go back to that, and then how do we actually build from there? So yeah, I love it. And one thing I want to know, this is a slightly selfish question because I have a desire to launch my own app in the not so distant future. But I really don't know how to get started with it. And so I'd just love to tap into your knowledge and expertise. Like, if, say, for me, so if I was wanting to actually get started, I want to launch a product rather than I'm a service business at the moment, so I coach and help small businesses. But I'd love to actually get my brain into a product. Like, I did product design and systems analysis and design at university 20 odd years ago, and I missed that. I missed that, being able to just basically own something and be able to create it and just like see it develop and all the rest of it. So how could I, or how would you suggest that someone gets started with minimal budget, so bootstrap budget, can't hire a big developing team? I've got some ideas, but like I don't actually know like what the next steps would be. What advice would you have for me or anybody in my position?
Yeah, I've been helping many startups, like mentoring them, and and some of them were actually like they moved from these agency to product, and one thing I discovered, that everybody actually has their own superpower, and if you can use your own superpower, you're going to be successful. Because the advice I gave to them, it didn't work, because like they were actually really like, especially people who are coming from this agency world, they're more social. They really know how to like talk to customers, how to get new business. They know how to do it like individually. Like for me, it's just like I built this SaaS service product. Like I in the early days, I was talking to customers a lot because I was doing customer support all the time, right? But like I didn't have those like skills. So I recommend that, like, whatever is your like superpower, like kind of discover that and kind of build on top of that. And for example, one of the startups that I help is like the founder is like he built this agency to like 50 people. He's really successful building a product. And like just all the advice I gave, like just, it helped him a little bit, like, how to do like, like grow traffic to the website, how to do SEO, things like that. But like it's really because he didn't have that like background, like it was really tough for him. But then he discovered that he's just started going to these meetups, talking to people, and selling his product that way. And then he started meeting some agency owners, agency people, and then like just using them as a channel to sell his product. So just and that's something I would never be able to do, right? It's just not in my skill sets, not in my superpowers. So I would start with that, like what's your superpower, and then how can you use that to build a product company? And so how do you build your first product? Like how do you I definitely don't recommend like just hiring someone outside to build a product for you. I think that's an anti-pattern because it's just like, it maybe it's faster because like they will have this, motivation to finish it quickly and then finish the project and but basically when you're actually when you're building a product, it's your job just starts when you launch your product. It's just like the first step. So when you launch your product, nothing is going to happen, right? Like you might be on product hunt, maybe a few people will come. Just it's going to be, the hard work actually starts there. So what I've seen really worked is like, people really learning programming, and you don't actually have to learn programming, but basically like just having people in-house, maybe like a co-founder who can actually program, or like just technical co-founder would work, but that's also really tough. uh but basically like you just doing yourself is important because it's just it's this is a long journey, and it's not just like you build a product and you're done, like just the job starts at that point. So yeah, that would be my advice. Just start yourself. Maybe use no-code products. They are really good. Like you can even use AI to build the product. I think that's it's too early for that because like usually the products you build with AI is like just they have bugs. They have bugs, and like you cannot just like keep doing that for a long time. You can create this like initial version, but I doubt that like you can just continue doing that for in the long term. Um, but yeah, I think it's a great time to start a product company at this time because of AI, especially AI, because AI actually makes everything so much easier. Like all the products are becoming so much more valuable because like with the addition of AI, they are not rigid anymore. Like software isn't going to be rigid anymore. We are just seeing these like, people are sprinkling AI to their products at this point. Like they're not really, it takes time to build a real useful AI product. I know it because I've been working on it for a year, and every day I see all the bugs and all the, stuff. But I also see the promise, like just in a few years, it's just going to be, the software is going to be so much more powerful because software is not going to be rigid like before. It's going to be much more flexible. And so I think it's a great time to start a product company. So just, start somewhere, launch your product and learn from it. That's what I did. Like I just released a free product. And because I wanted to make sure that people actually I quit my job 2005 summer, and I started working on Jotform. And then 2006 February, like just like 6 months after that, or like 8 months after that, I released Jotform and I made it completely free. And then it started slowly, but people started using it. People started seeing the value. And then it took me like a year before I released the paid version because I wanted to get the feedback, because like the job actually starts when you launch the product, because that's when you actually hear from people. It doesn't work. Like the product doesn't work. And like you just need to make it work first, right? Just make it from something that doesn't work to something that works, and then you start adding additional features, like make it really valuable after that. So it's a long journey, and but I think it's a great time to start it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Interesting hearing you talk about it because it's such a similar journey from any of the courses I've ever launched. Or I don't have SaaS products, but I have quite sophisticated systems that sit on top of existing products. And so, like recruitment system, for example, or system for creating systems, that all these things I've created. And like you say, I launched them at absolute bootstrapped and beta versions. And literally just this morning, I've been speaking to someone about a new advanced onboarding system that I've just created. And it's been released to one client. And literally, I'm working with them one on one on a regular basis because they're going through almost line by line and saying, "This doesn't work. This is wrong. This doesn't make sense. Where's this?" And doing that just back and forth with your beta testers, like that for me is has been the most valuable time I've ever spent with clients. And like you say, giving it away for free or giving my time for free to help these people, like that is where the product development happens. So yeah, I can see that being exactly the same if it was a SaaS product or a course, like in my world. So yeah, awesome. And yeah, I also I used to do coding many years ago, so maybe it's time I roll my sleeves back up and got back into it because I did enjoy it when I did it. But yeah, it
I
was
think it's much more easier these days because you have these co-pilots, you have
yeah.
these AI helpers to just write code. Writing code is much easier these days.
Totally. I was messing around the other day and just asking ChatGPT to help me do something which I know would have taken me days and days of trawling through. Well, back in the day, it was textbooks or whatever online, forums and things, trying to find out people giving examples. And literally, ChatGPT just put the code in and said, "I'm trying it with some CSS thing I was doing." And I was like, "Can you make this work? This is what I want to do." And it says, "Try this." Doesn't work. Okay, try this. Doesn't work. Try this. Doesn't work. About fifth, sixth time, now it works. And I was
The
like, that
great
was
thing
my.
is
It's just
you
you learn.
have you have some coding skills, so you could basically like just use these code generation to create these modules, and then because you can already write code, and you can just edit them, customize them, connect them to each other, and turn them into a product. Yeah, that could work.
Yeah, cool. You've inspired me. Right, I'm
Yeah,
going to
thanks.
quit my job tomorrow. Oh, fantastic. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. If people want to find out more about you, get your book, or learn about what you're doing in the world of AI or Jotform, how can they best get hold of you or know more or find out more about you?
So it's my first name, last name.com, aytekintank.com. On my personal website, you can actually find the first chapter of my book. You can read it for free. And you can also find my writing as well. I wrote in different places like Forbes, Entrepreneur, Fast Company, and you can find my writing and my book in my website.
Cool. I'm going to put your web address obviously in the show notes, but just for anyone listening, I'm going to spell your name for you. Is Aytekin and then tank Tank. So it's Aytekintank.com. And just before you go, I do have a couple of questions that I like to ask everybody. And first off, which I'm interested to hear what you say for this, but what are a couple of your, or one of your favorite apps, other than Jotform, obviously, apps or browser plugins, things that you do or use every day that you couldn't live without?
So I use this mobile app called Full Screen Time, and basically like just every morning when I'm trying to get the kids out to school, like I just need to be aware of the time all the time, and then like I can put like iPads and everywhere like my phone, just make sure that I like this simple time with just full screen. I like those kind of things. So and similar fashion, exactly like that. That's also like black screen and large, fonts. Another app I really like is AI Rider. This is not this is actually sorry, IA Rider, not AI Rider. IA Rider. This is a Mac app, basically text editor. But what I really like about it, like when you make it full screen, like just you can make it full screen. There's nothing on the screen, just black full screen, and there's this white cursor. What I really like about it is like, when I want to journal, especially like, in the morning, like just before I start my work, I want to just do some, brain dump, like just think about like what's the most important thing that I should be working on today. And I will just launch this full screen editor, black screen with a white cursor blinking, and that's like a empty paper, like just white space, and then I just start typing. And so yeah, it's not about the functionality actually. Both apps have no functionality, but they are simple and clean.
I love both of those things. I am all for removing distractions.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I've got an ADHD brain, so I need no distraction. So that is the perfect apps for me to check out. Cool, thank you. Final question. This podcast is Systemize Your Success, but what does success mean to you?
I see it as a journey because like I really enjoyed like when we were this small company with like 5 employees. It was such a great time because I was much younger. I was really excited about the future. It wasn't certain that we would be successful company, successful product in the end, but we were struggling, but it was so enjoyable for me. And even today, like much larger company, bigger problems, but bigger opportunities. And now I can actually work with like a team of 120 people to build a product that's also really exciting, and we can do more stuff because we have more capabilities. So I think it doesn't matter where you are, it's a journey, and just try to enjoy now, right now, and to kind of take advantage of the pros of the location where you are in the journey, and it's just it's a long journey, it's a fun journey. Yeah.
Cool, good answer. Thank you so much indeed for coming on today. Aytekin, sorry, I will get your name right. I struggled with this before we came on the show. I'm dyslexic. That's my excuse. Aytekin, thank you so much for coming on today, and it's been an absolute pleasure having you on.
Thank you for having me.